I just want to go back onto your boxing because I'll tell you what, I think you're an outstanding boxer myself personally, and I've had the privilege of watching you training, and I've had the privilege of watching you fighting. Where do you go from here, mate? What's the plan? Because there's one fight that everyone's screaming and everyone on here wants to see it, and that's Canelo.
Do you know what it is?
I'll tell you. For me, that's Canelo.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. You get a lot of arse lickers and arse sniffers in life. Want to be around you for who you are. Oh yeah, you're gonna beat him. I don't need no one to tell me who I can beat and can't beat. I know who I can beat, and I know I can beat Canelo Alvarez. I know that I know that from my own soul. I know I've got the beating of him, and I will beat him. But when all these people come around you and feed you all this shit because they just want to be around you and all this rubbish, I can't be doing with that. My boxing speaks for itself. People can say, they can run me down, say this, say that. I've never been beat, and I believe I'll end up unbeaten. You know, you've got some good fighters out there, but I know the next thing I want to do is beat the invincible man. You know, Canelo Alvarez. He's the big one they're going on about. You know, I'm lucky enough to have MTK guiding me, and they're doing everything to make sure this fight goes ahead and happens. But that's the one I want, because to be the best, you have to beat the best. And, you know, when I was coming through the rankings and even for the British, John Ryder's an unbelievable good fighter, but I beat John Ryder when he still had his own, when he didn't know what lose was. When he didn't know what lose was, I beat the loss in him. So people need to look back then. Before that, I boxed Gary Spike O'Sullivan, again unbeaten. My boxing alone and the pedigree that I got from being a young amateur, it would take a lot to untangle me, that's for sure. So why wouldn't I want to fight the best? And that's what I want to do. Either Golovkin, you know, he's been beat by Alvarez. But if they said to me, right, you're going to fight Golovkin or Alvarez, I'll choose Alvarez. But they're the two fights I would. You know, all these other big names, these other big superstars they're going on about, Danny Jacobs, all the other big fighters in the weight, they've had their chance. They've been beat. You know, let me have a chance. If I get beat, I'll get beat. I'm the fairest man in the world. If I get beat by someone who's better than me, I can only shake their hand. You know, but my main goal is to get Ginger Bullocks in the ring and to see what I can do. I'll be up in 2 minutes, yeah.
So that ideally, would you like to see that fight happening within the next year? Can you see that fight happening within the next year?
It's a bit hard for me to say, because I think the promoters and the managers and everyone else are literally on the blows trying to make fights as we speak. But it's then crediting a venue. You know, the capacity of the TV going to pack that. Are the TV going to back that sort of money for that package of a fight without the crowd in it? I don't know. Is it going to be behind closed doors, or do we have to wait when all this is over? So they're the sort of things that we're waiting on the government for, really, rather than the promoters and everybody else. These promoters can say we're looking to do big shows behind closed doors, but really, are there going to be big shows in the back of a garden somewhere? No, they're not. So, you know, and I've been in the game a long time. You know, I know how the rules work, and it's going to be very difficult to make big fights in an empty arena. Very difficult. Fighters will have to take big pay cuts.
So there was a big fight a couple of weeks ago. I'm obviously a boxing fan, but I'm also a huge UFC fan, and they've managed to do a couple of shows over, I think it was Florida. What do you think? Do you think the guys, there was talked about Eddie Hearn potentially doing a fight behind closed doors. Do you think that'll happen?
Well, I think the UFC is a different, even though it's still the combat sport, but I think it's a different business approach. I think in the UFC, they all just don't give a fuck. They just want to get an avatar up and chill out. I mean, I speak to Darren Till a lot, and listening to some of the politics when you listen to him talk, you know, it's unfair, because they put their life on the line the same as us. If not, probably worse, really, even though they're shorter rounds, but they go in there and have it, and the pay that the UFC wants and the pay that some of the fighters want is just a million miles apart. So
yeah,
I don't know if any shows are gonna, the big fights, what the fans want to see, unless the TV go, well, do you know what? Let's take a gamble. Let's take a punt on it. Let's see how it goes. Let's put a big one on. See how it gets people. Is it going to be a lot of pay-per-view buys? That's the only way forward, I think, is them taking a chance. But I hope it is this year.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but we had John O'Carroll last week. He was a fantastic guest. But we had a guy that I spent a lot of time with, Alex Volkanovski. He's a featherweight champion of the UFC. He was on our first guest, and he's just become world champion now. And see, whether you're a boxer or whether you're a UFC fighter, to get to that world title status, that it has to be in you. You know, what's your views on that? Does it have to be in you? Does it have to be inbred in you, or is it something that you can learn?
Again, I go back to personality. I don't go back to talent. I go back to what people's made of. Because let's just say, you know, we're all going to run. Leave everybody for that mile. Leave them outside. But when someone gets close to them, you know, squeaky bum time, they start losing it. They can't cope with the pressure. Boxing, what people don't realise, the general public, boxing comes with big pressures. Big pressures. You know, we have to sign stuff before we fight. Say, if you die, who's your next of kin, who's this and who's that, because it happens. We've seen it happen. You know, so I think boxing is about what you're made of and the minerals you have. And, you know, again, I'm not going to use, because when people say, oh, he's a great talent, you know, it's their personality, what they're made of. You know, they're made of good stuff. And that's the reason why you only see a handful of world champions, because not many people's made to be world champion.
Well, you had a couple of young fighters saying a big shout out to you. One of them was Leo, what's his surname? Leo Hickley. And there was another one called, what's his name? Patsy Joyce. These are young guys that are looking up to you. What advice will you give these guys, these young guys, up and coming guys that are looking to try and do this in the future? What advice would you give them?
Well, I can only talk about the advice that I give the fighter I manage, Dante Dixon. He's a great talent. You know, he's made of that stuff. I look at him and I think, do you know what? I've seen him spar. I've seen him fight. And I think, do you know what? You've got that stuff inside you. You're made to be world champion, but he has to be guided right still. You know, we have to look after him, you know, and let him have the right fights at the right time. So the only thing that, you know, I suggest for good young fighters is that once you get with a good team, a good management team, and everything sorted, what's there to help and take your problems on sometimes, that, you know, when you're, even though you think of the problems, but in this boxing sport, you won't realise the amount of shit and bollocks these fighters talk. They're like fairies, most of them. They want to walk to the ring first. They're not happy with that glove. They're not happy with the size of the ring. They're not happy with the fucking canvas. You get all this rubbish. Listen, get in there, have a fight. If you're good enough, you'll win. You know, that's the main thing. You have to take chances. And a lot of people this day and age, they want to protect and pad their records. That's no good.
Yeah.
Like, you might look good you might be in a bar somewhere. I'm a professional boxer. Yeah, I've had 10 fights, 10 knockouts, but you boxed a load of journeymen. Sometimes you have to take the chance, and it's important to have someone behind you to go, right, now take that chance. Now go. Now's the time. Don't leave it too late or not too soon.
So is that what you're looking to do? Take on more fighters and manage your own fighters now? Is that the plan in the future?
It was something that I always wanted to get involved with. You know, I've got a very good management team behind me in MTK, and I've been advised a lot by. He stepped away from it now as Daniel Kinahan. He's a very, 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 very shrewd man when it comes to knowing when to step on, when to go. I sat back in Spain and watched how he worked with a few fighters, and I was thinking, you know, this fella's never had a fight, but fuck me, like, he's guiding these fighters all the way through. He's a very good business head. He knows when to, you know, we'll take that fight now. We'll take that fight now. We'll leave that now. We'll get him later. You have to have someone like that behind you, and a team behind you like that knows when to let go of the reins. Yeah. You know, because if it was down to me, the money I was getting coming through, even though I love to fight, but, you know, most fighters now will be happy just getting their money in boxing, stopping a journeyman, fighting every other week. Yes, it's good to learn your trade, but once you learn your trade, then you have to take your business to the next level. All right, well, I think I'm that good, so let's get it on. Let me fight him. He's unbeaten, I'm unbeaten. Let's get it on. And I think it's important to have someone behind you like that, and that's the reason why I've got my fighter like that, who I manage, Dante Dixon.
So is he the only fighter you've got underneath you now?
He's the only fighter I must have had, and this is no exaggeration, since I signed him, I must have had 50 or 60 young fighters ask me to work with them.
Yeah.
ask me to work, but I only want to work with a small handful that I can. I don't want to promise them stuff I can't deliver. I don't want to say, right, you're going to be out 6 times and they're out 4 because I've let them down. I want to say to a couple of fighters, right, I've got 3 or 4, right, well, I can get you all out. I can get you out 4, get you out 5, and hopefully make that work. I don't like, you know, you hear some of these. I've been through it. I've heard them. You wouldn't believe that. Well, you probably would believe the amount of shit I've heard through my boxing career. But it's not very good when a fighter gets let down. And I would never want to let none of my fighters down, ever.
Yeah. That's because you've been through it yourself. That's why, isn't it? And it's important to do that. So, in terms of your, you know, because obviously, when do you look to get out of the fight game? What's your plan? When would you like to actually get out of it?
When I first started out, the first thing I said to Frank Warren, when I first signed with him, Frank tried to sign me before I went to the Olympic Games. He said, look, I'll give you X amount to stay. Don't go to the Olympics. I'll give you X amount to turn over now. But I went. And, you know, it's sort of one of them that I want to get out with my brain's all intact, everything, fucking my speech all perfect. I can have a chat to my kids because most of these fighters now, they don't know when enough's enough. The greed takes over. Listen, money is good. Yeah, it's good to have money, but it's not the be-all, end-all of things. Trust me. Money don't make things perfect, make things happen. And you can have all the money in the world, but if you can't put a sentence together, what good is a penny to you? You know, it's no good. So I want to make sure that I will know when to leave, and I know that the people around me will say, do you know what, Billy Joe? It's time to go. Because the people I've got around me are not yes men and there for the money. People around me are there because they want me to do well. They want me to succeed. They would rather say, we work with him and he's beat Canelo Alvarez, rather than to say, oh, we work with him and we've got 3 or 4 million off him.
Yeah.
Right, that they want to work with me because they want the best for me, and you feel that energy off them. And I think that's very important to have. You have to have them sort of people around you. So I reckon my own self, another 3 year, then that'll do me. Another 2 or 3 year, then I'm done.
So I like to think that I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur and I like to get involved with different bits. Are you like that? Is that what you do? Do you get involved in investments and dealing with property? And what do you do? Do you reinvest the money that you win from fighting? How do you get on?
Listen, as a kid where I come from nothing, you know, brought up on here, and you know, seeing your parents struggle as kids, as being a kid and stuff like that. You know, when you get older, a few quid, you can't be silly with it. So, you know, most of my money I get, you know, I put in properties. Yeah, you know, I'm everything. If I can, when I have a fight, the money's just gone in property straight away. Because that's for the future. That's what I'm doing. I'm having that fight, so I can put my money there. So when I do want to hang up my gloves, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through in a way. You know, I'm not going to say I'm going to give it to them easy because I would never give them easy. I'll be down in 2 seconds. But I want to make them, you got to know what the kids, you got to let them know what want is. But I want to give them, if I die tomorrow, I know they're okay. You know, peace of mind. So I could die a happy man. That's all. So, yeah, I try to teach my kids to be sensible in situations like that with their money. And I like to think that I've been sensible with mine.
Yeah, because you see a lot of the fighters and you see them driving flash cars and bits and pieces, and they're sort of chasing it then, aren't they? And they have to chase the money. And that's one thing that, you know, I've said to a couple of the guys that I've sort of mentored.
It's no good driving a Rolls Royce and going home to a council house, in a way. You know, if you've earned millions of pounds, not that there's nothing wrong living there because my parents live on a council site. But what I'm saying is nothing, you can't have it all. You got to be a little bit. You got to be a little bit thingy bob. Who's this geezer? Someone's pulled up showing me a live video. Someone's just pulled up there and showed me going live.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's very important that these fighters, I see a lot of it, and do you know what? It's very sad to see, and that's something that do scare me because I see all these fighters that's coming through. Like when I was making my debut, I see all these young fighters at the time, seasoned pro, earning loads of money, and I look at them now and I think, you know, they've been unfairly and illy advised. But thankfully, my dad had his head screwed on, bringing me up, and he taught me right. So I can only thank him for that. And, you know, I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for what I got today. And, you know, I'm not greedy. I want more. I'm very happy and content. And, you know, I'm happy. I've got a nice life. So
would you allow your boys to get in the ring and fight?
I would. They go boxing now. They all do boxing. But it's a very hard living to do. Where are you off to? It's a very hard living to do. You know, I wouldn't want to go through certain things for the peanuts sometimes that fighters have got to go through. But well, look, I've got, in the Saunders generation, the next baton, come here, Bill. This is a live video. Come here, just come here. This is, turn that around. Turn that around so they see there. Put it on, right. The next generation was coming through, and the next world champion is this man, Bill. Let's have a look, Bill. On Instagram here, look. Swear to God. Let's see a few shots thrown, Bill.
Let's see the boys.
He's the next boyo. This man. He's the.
We'll have to give him a shout. What's his name?
He's the next family pension fund.
Well, there you go. Right. Well, you've been a busy man. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for having me on today, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we can do it again when you're near one of your big fights. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you and thank all the guys for joining.